Hey guys, welcome. I think we are waiting for Fajadi. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly to hop on. Hey Fajadi, I hear some like background noise, but I can't hear your voice for whatever reason.
Hi, I can hear you guys now. I was having a few issues. I wasn't hearing the music, but seems to be good now. Can you guys hear me well?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Awesome.
Great. So welcome to Whale Coin Talk. Good afternoon, community. Today we're gonna host Pulselorian. And Fajadi, before we get started, can you give us a quick background of yourself and how you found yourself working in the industry today?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll give a little bit of background about me. I first got exposed to crypto in 2013. It wasn't on one of those hype cycles, Bitcoin hitting all-time high, but I had no idea what I was doing. Just bought because I had a background in finance and interest in tech. And at that time, lost all my money, lost private keys, kind of thought it was a scam, left the industry, only to go back to it in 2017. This time, full on crypto. Was as always, was reading articles about finance and tech, and then stumbled again. But that time, I stumbled into Ethereum, and then everything that I saw back in 2013, the dots started connecting. And then I went into the rabbit hole in terms of, exploring DeFi, other chains, until finally deciding to launch a project. Since I also have some background in software development, uh, together with Ramurd, but Ramurd is our main guy when it comes to the development of the contracts.
Beautiful. And let's dive right in. Tell us about Pulselorian. This is the most loyal guild in crypto, according to your website. And I would love to have you break down a high level overview, and we can jump into nuts and bolts from there. But what made you guys fire up this project, and also why did you choose to build it on Pulse Chain?
Yep. So I think just like everybody else that gets into crypto, it's a very young space. It's in its infancy, and we saw a lot of hacks, scams, exploits, and we all have been part of that, and not only that, all the like abysmal lows and all these all-time highs that you also can get caught up in, not selling, or sometimes you find a good project, but then the community is not there. So we I think everybody in crypto kind of thinks, okay, so how do I make money in this? I want to be in a project that is going to be here for the long term. 5-10 years from now, people will still be trading it. Has the most loyal community, and the contract is safe, is secure. And that's why Bitcoin, despite not having the best tech, it's the largest currency out there. And you see so many currencies that sometimes doesn't have a use case, sometimes doesn't have the best tech, but they have the best, most loyal community, and that forms everything within a project in order for it to succeed. And then and then sorry, my dog's making some noises here. I'm sorry. And then and then what we're trying to do is in crypto, we found that the Pulse chain and Hex community, they really represent um, what's best in crypto out there. Holding your own keys, making sure that the code is public, audited, and having a strong and loyal community, believing in the long term future of crypto and what it's supposed to do for us in terms of a society. So we're deciding to do the same. We want to build the most loyal community, where people know that by holding our contract, by holding the SKR, they are in it for the long term. Like everybody have each other's back, because it's all about network value, right? network adoption. The more our user base grows, the more our community remains loyal to each other, the more success we'll have. Our tokenomics we already have. Uh, it's designed to make the price skyrocket, right? That's our intention. But full disclaimer, not financial advice. Um, do your own due diligence before investing. And that's what we're looking for. We're just trying to form a community of loyal investors. If we have loyalty, we'll have success.
Great. And so, Pulselorian, can you tell us a bit about the ecosystem, right? What are the token utilities? What are you guys building out? Obviously, having a strong community is really important. I think people oftentimes underestimate the power of a community, as we've seen with so many other ecosystems. But what is your vision with this community guild?
Yeah, since it's a community led token and it's a long term project. We started off with one single token, which was the BSKR token. That was our main token, and that was what we were going to launch in Pulse Chain. But everybody knows Pulse Chain got delayed, so now we're thinking of launching it on Ethereum and then airdropping copies on Pulse Chain. So we started off with BSKR, but we noticed we could add more products that would further enhance BSKR's value. And then we have a second contract called Light Besker, and we also have NFTs. And then we'll probably keep launching products that we see that they can aggregate value to the ecosystem. But to outline a couple of features of each of these tokens and how they interact with each other, BSKR is our main token. It's a hyper deflationary token. We have auto staking, through reflections. It's a form of dividend when people perform transactions. We have burn on every transaction. We have auto liquidity function. We have a sacrificer's payday, whereas if people hold these tokens and they don't sell, they'll be airdropped a chunk of the supply, a significant chunk, about 3.69% of the supply will be airdropped. We have a net buyer's payday feature, which is if people are doing active buys, if their balances are growing through through purchases, not through reflection, every quarter they will also be airdropped a portion of these transaction fees. So it's a hyper deflationary token with auto staking, burn, auto liquidity, but there's a taxation to users when they transact with BSKR token. And to counter that taxation, we added the Light Besker contract. And the intention of the Light Besker contract is to form a synergy between this BSKR contract so that there's arbitrage opportunities and we can generate more of these reflections. The intention is that when people purchase our Besker contract, they will purchase it through our Light BSKR contract because it will give you a discount on these fees, a 50% discount. So it's natural that when people take profit out of our tokens, they won't take that profit into Pulse Chain or Ethereum or another token. They will take profit into our Light Besker contract in order to capitalize on these discounts. And that will form a huge arbitrage opportunity. As people take profits, they're going to take profits into Light Besker, and that in turn will drive the price of Light Besker up. And Light Besker itself, it's a yield generating token, yet it's deflationary in the long term. So 50% of the supply of Light Besker will be distributed as staking rewards throughout 20, 30 years, actually into perpetuity, but most of it will be given out in like 20 years, 30 years. And it will start off of a 7% inflation per annum, and that inflation will decrease yearly by 10%. So similar to Hex contract, which yields inflates at 3.69%, and that inflation goes to the stakers. Our contract, it will start inflating at 7%, where that inflation will go to the stakers. And then, but in the long term, it is deflationary. So it's not like the Hex contract, which always inflates. So we see that as a positive because, if it inflates if at infinity, it could eventually lose its value, because there's always more. You always need more demand to buy that token. Another point is that we also add a tiny burn on this contract, which is 0.1% transaction fee and a 0.1% transaction fee for a growth address for us to keep doing development on the project. And then lastly, there are penalties as well when you stake these contracts. Um, so when you acquire Light Basker to purchase Basker, right, because it gives you a discount, you can do it that right away, or you can choose to stake Light Basker. And when you stake like Light Basker, what will happen is the contract will automatically convert that Light Basker into Basker and will lock that Basker up, which will also in turn favor driving the price of our Basker contract up. And additionally, you're minted the Light Basker interest when you unstake. However, if you unstake early, there will be penalties. And then, similar to Hex, these penalties will be gradual, but we're not making them as steep as Hex, where, if you unstake early, you just get nuked, your account gets nuked. So it will be less of a penalty. It will be steeper at first, but nothing that will kill your account, basically. We don't want to do that with our users. And but we do want to add some penalty, and that will further help with the counter the inflation and further deflate the asset in the long term. Finally, we do have NFTs launching as well, and with the NFTs, is it's kind of a bonus, and is to show your loyalty to the guild. Not only we're creating these avatars where people can have that stronger identity of they belong to our community, to our guild, but it will give you a very, 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 very high bonus in terms of the yield for the Light Basker contract. Um, about 15% of the supply of the Light Basker contract will be devoted to the NFT holders. The holders will be able to stake these NFTs and earn Light Basker, which they can in turn use to buy Basker on a discount and not pay the transaction fees. And instead of this yield being paid out throughout 20, 30 years like we're planning for the Light Basker contract, it will actually be paid out within 3, 4, 5 years. So so it's gonna be a very, very, very strong bonus if you want to hold and stake Light Basker to buy more BSKR, which is hyper deflationary, limited supply. So everything that we have is deflationary by default. Main contract is hyper deflationary, and then Light Basker is inflationary in the short term, but in the long term, it's deflationary. NFTs, there's also a limited supply of 5,555, inspired in the Hex community, through the Hex community. And, we believe in like deflationary assets. That's what preserves their purchasing power in the long run. We see what happens to the price when you have these hyper inflationary tokens. Just the price just tanks, and that's not what we want. And yeah, most importantly is that we're here for the long run. We have amazing features in terms of tokenomics to be very competitive with every single token out there. We have people who are interested in Pulse Chain. We're actually now expanding to other chains, right? Ethereum, starting out on Ethereum, and people will get airdropped another copy of it on Pulse Chain, and we'll probably continue launching it on other chains as well, because that will just help network adoption as a whole. And one final thing, we do intend to add some sort of bonus. If we launch an Ethereum, people hold their tokens, we'll announce that holding period. If they don't sell, they'll get more of a bonus once they receive their copy on Pulse Chain. And finally, also with the NFTs, the NFTs have some properties with regards to guild loyalty, faith in the project, mastery of what we call the way, because we're inspired in the Mandalorian type figure, so we're always saying this is the way. And if you for example, if you have a set of these NFTs that have different creeds, or depending on the loyalty amount that your NFT has, or faith amount that your NFT has, we're gonna make competitions for people to airdrop more tokens for these NFT holders. And and the thing with these competitions, they will also stimulate the secondary NFT market. Because people will probably want to trade to form a set, or get one of the NFTs that will probably have a higher faith bonus, or a higher loyalty bonus, or have a different creed. So, but that's still to be announced. We're first launching the NFTs, and then soon after, we'll be releasing a testnet contract on Go Early on Ethereum for our Light Besker and the SKR contract, and with the staking features. Yep, that's pretty much it. Sorry if I took long.
No worries at all. I appreciate the intricate breakdown, and I have some questions, right? So, the first question I have is, what incentives are there for people to take profits out of the Besker token into the L Besker token? Why not just take the profit into, I don't know, Bitcoin or USDT?
So it's the discount on fees, right? BSKR, when you transact it, it takes a fee, and that fee is used, to burn part of the token, part of the supply, distribute part of that fee as rewards for all holders, add some to liquidity, etc. So it charges that fee. It's around 5.5% fee. And the thing is, if you're capturing your profits into Ethereum, you're basically paying 5.5%. If you're capturing your profits into Light Besker, you're gonna pay half of that. So one those funds will theoretically stay in the ecosystem, and they will drive L Basker price up, because why would you pay more money when you're selling the contract, right? Why would you sell it for a little bit less when you can get a couple of other percentage points out of it? So and then that will favor the money to remain in the Pulselorian ecosystem, and to drive the price of Light Basker up, and counter some of the inflation.
So there's a game theory component to it. I'm starting to wrap my head around it. I know that it was mentioned in your white paper, but the game theory slides were just like, one was a huge, like, very detailed chart that I couldn't make sense of, and the other was a paragraph. So can you dive into the two, game theory one and game theory two, and kind of break down different scenarios? Obviously, um, I understand now why people are incentivized to take their profits in the light Besker, but I can also see this. I can also see people saying, "Hey, actually, I don't know if this L Besker price currently is sustainable. I'm going to pay the extra tax, and I'm going to cash out into Ethereum instead, and just see where the price goes." So what's the incentive, right? Because the idea is you guys want to make people sell Besker into L Besker, but at a certain point, those with Elbesker are going to want to take profits as well, right? I mean, I can't go to a grocery store and buy something with Elbesker. I need cash. So,
Yes.
give us some insight into that. I find this interesting. I want to know how the game theory works.
Yeah, no, that's a good question, and it makes sense. I mean, if you want to bypass and just buy the token or sell the token directly, you obviously can. But even if your intention, your final intention, is to swap out your profit into Ethereum or Pulse Chain, you're still gonna swap it first for Lightbasker, right? You'll swap it first for Lightbasker to get some of the fee, and then you'll swap your Lightbasker then to Ethereum. You'll do two swaps. Um, and that basically that buying and selling of Lightbasker will be nullified, right? Because it's just you're buying and selling at the same time. So either way, it will you'll always want to to when you either buy or sell, you'll always want to use Lightbasker, even if your final intention
Yeah,
is to cash out into Ethereum.
yeah, let me pitch in here. This is Ramad. To answer your question direct, it is the choice of the investor, right? So which path they want to take to exit. There might be a situation where it might make more sense to directly convert Beskar to ETH, just because of the arbitrage opportunities. There could be situations we can't tell about it. Market decides it. But generally, it is going to be cheaper to convert to Lightbasker and go convert to whatever USDT, ETH, depending on what pairs are available. It's DeFi. People can, create pairs, pools, and there will be a lot of options. And as a holder, you have the freedom to create your liquidity pools as well to earn liquidity fees and whatnot. But our recommendation is to go via Lightbasker. Basically, that's what Fujari is talking about.
Great. So I'm glad you broke it down the way you did, and I also so reading the white paper last night, I kind of got it, but now I really get it. I would love for you guys to give me an example of an arbitrage scenario because it's been mentioned a couple times now.
Yeah. So what can happen is arbitrage is basically the difference in value, right, between the two assets. So we have three pairs here. There's a pair between Elbasker and Basker, and then there is a pair with the native currency. Let's say only three currencies, three tokens at the moment, right? ETH, Basker, and Lightbasker. At any point in time, depending on the direction of the flow, the value of Basker might be, higher with respect to ETH, right? And there might be you would see an opportunity of Lightbasker being cheaper, but it is the ratio between Lightbasker and Basker is higher. So that might be your opportunity to acquire Lightbasker and get into Basker. That way you benefit, that you get more Basker rather than directly buying Basker. I hope
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does, and it kind of gives me a better idea of how the game theory. I mean, this is game theory, like of how it works.
Absolutely.
And yeah, this is. I mean, I can see this being fun, and I can see why folks would want to participate in the ecosystem. You guys said that you haven't done a token launch yet, correct?
No, it is going to follow the NFT launch. The tokens are going to be very soon after the NFT launch. Yeah.
Yep. And the NFT launch is in, I think, 14 or 13 days, if I'm not mistaken. You guys are currently running a giveaway where people have a chance at winning one of 10 NFTs that you guys are giving away. And can you give us some more insight? I know you did a bit earlier, but give us some more insight into why you guys are choosing to launch the NFTs first and highlight some of the important utilities for the NFTs.
Mm-hmm. The NFTs first is mostly because we're still finalizing some aspects of the light BSKR contract. Main BSKR contract is completed. So first we were gonna deploy it on Pulse Chain, so it was completed to interact with PulseX, and then we had to adapt the contract to interact with Uniswap. But it's completed now. And then Light Basker, it was another token that got introduced while we were waiting for Pulse Chain. So that one we're still finalizing some features, and so that's why we so the NFT contract is also ready. So that's pretty much why it's going to be first. Ideally, we would launch everything at the same time, but it will be shortly after. So NFTs in 2 weeks, and then the other two contracts will launch it together concurrently, and it will be shortly after.
Yeah,
Are you
so
guys?
I'll just
Oh,
add
go
a
ahead.
little, yeah, just a little bit, right? Because this is blockchain, and we don't want to launch something which is not well tested. We are very high on security, and we don't want issues. So we originally tested our contracts very well on Pulse chain, but when we decided to move to ETH, we had to, accommodate the Uniswap V3 and V2 combination. So we are making sure, our development team is making sure that everything works as expected and desired, and then we are going to launch. That's why the little bit extra time.
Yeah, that's very very good compliment, Ramord. Yeah, mostly because Uniswap V2 and V3 they interact differently. Since one you add liquidity through liquidity pools, the other one uses NFTs to represent that liquidity, so it does make a difference. And we have to adapt the contract for that and
And I'll
thoroughly
just
test it.
yeah, I mean, you guys. I'll just read the tokenomics here. About 86% of the tokens will be circulating and destined to holders favoring investors and community. 5% roughly will be destined to the dev team. Those are going to not be sold for a year, and then I think about 8.3% is for growth. Let me know about the dev tokens. Once that 1 year cliff expires, is it vesting or are they all unlocked at once?
There would be a vesting period, but I just speak on my behalf. Obviously there are other team members, but I have no intention of selling my tokens. I believe in the project. We're working on it ourselves. We're putting in a lot of our time and energy into it, and funds right into it. So yeah, I would argue that very small percentage, if that of those 5% is ever sold. We actually want to acquire more.
It's unrealistic, right? For no one to sell. I think people
No,
are
no,
putting
no.
in a lot of
That's
hard
what I'm
work into
saying.
this
I'm
project.
speaking for myself. For myself, those 5% that's devoted to the team. But yeah, it's only unlocked after 1 year, and then it should be vested throughout another year.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So just like Fajari mentioned, most of our team members, they might take a little bit of gratuity, right? Some tokens maybe, but there is a vesting period, and hopefully that gives us slow down on any sale that comes from that portion.
Yep. With regards to like any expectation with like, oh, the teams will dump the tokens, I don't think there should be that sort of expectation, because if you make a comparison with other projects, the team barely has any. We distributed, over 70% of the tokens to the public, and part of those additional like 10% is to liquidity. So there's really, and then there's like about 3% for airdrops. If you make a comparison to other projects like Richard Hart itself, he owns like 90% of the coins. Obviously everybody believes in him because he's hyper successful, but just do a quick research on any projects out there. Like, check out their tokenomics and check out how much goes to the dev team. You'll be astounded if you do that comparison, and you'll see that we're actually giving it all away as much. And I think I even remember at the start of the project, people complained, saying that, hey, I think there's a little bit too much for the marketing here. And we listen to the community because we want to be a community project where we take the input from everybody, as much as possible. And then we reduced that and we gave it more to the community as well.
Yeah, of course. Let me be honest with you. I wasn't saying anything negative about tokenomics. I actually think these are quite fair, and I've seen probably at this point over 1,000 different project tokenomics. I was specifically just curious about the vesting period for the dev tokens, and it sounds like you guys, most of you guys are in it for the long run. And if you wanted to sell a little bit, I think that you have the right to do so. You're putting a lot of work, and a lot of investors are typically curious about the vesting period. By the way, Robert, do you mind muting your mic and then just unqueuing it when you want to speak again? Yes, I was hearing a bit of echo. So that leads me to my next question. I mean, obviously, a lot of these tokens are meant to be for the community, and I'm curious to know how you guys are handling your pre-sale. Right? Is it going to be a cap on how much someone can invest? What's that cap going to be? What's the max contribution going to be? And are the tokens released all at once to the community members who invest in the pre-sale, or is it over a vesting period?
So to answer your question, thanks for your question, and and also thanks for just hosting the space. But to answer your question, we're not having a pre-sale. What we did have was a sacrifice phase where people already contributed funds for the project. So we raised about $230,000 for the project, and those tokens will be distributed, and part of those funds will be used for liquidity and project development, obviously. And so there's no pre-sale. If people want to buy the token, they're gonna have to buy it at launch, and all the sacrificers, everybody who invested into the project in the beginning, basically sacrificed their money for the cause, of believing in the loyalty of the community, crypto beating this financial system that we live in. Then they will also receive a percentage of the supply of light Besker as well as a bonus for being like one of the OGs, sacrificers. So yeah, that's basically it. We don't have a pre-sale, and people already invested into the project, so we already have funds to launch it, and it will probably have some market value at launch.
Right. I've seen the sacrifice model before. I think Temple DAO did a sacrifice model. Approximately how many tokens were granted per was it ETH, or sorry, was it USD that was being sacrificed? What was it?
So we were accepting sacrifices in stable coins, but people sacrificed other tokens mistakenly, but we still gonna honor their sacrifice. And there's gonna be, at least on Pulse Chain, our intention was to launch with a supply of 1 trillion tokens. On Ethereum, we might change the supply to 1 billion tokens. It doesn't really matter, it's just the supply. What matters is, the dollar value. And then, if it's 1 billion tokens, if 70% gets distributed to the sacrificers, they'll get 700 million tokens distributed accordingly between them. And there was like a bonus multiplier during sacrifice, where if you sacrificed more funds, you'd get more tokens. If you sacrificed earlier, you would get more tokens. And that's outlined on the website on our sacrifice section. If you scroll down, you can see the list of sacrificers and how much tokens people are expected to get.
Great. Yeah, thank you for that breakdown. And I suppose my last question before I pass it to some audience members is, it seems you guys went with a mix of cyberpunk cyberpunk and Mandalorian inspired figures to kind of come up with your identity. Is there a reason that you chose this theme?
Yes, and thank you for the question again. That's one of the things that we like the most about the project, because what we see in crypto, we're seeing these social identity networks, these communities being formed. Doge community, Hex community, Bitcoin community, and you see Doge, there's like hundreds and thousands of copies of dog coins and Shiba Inus and baby Shiba Inus. And we wanted something that made us distinguished, made us united under, a principle, a creed. And that's why we chose kind of Mandalorian and inspired cypherpunk type of figure. I don't know if people, for the people who watch Mandalorian, he is like a battle tested bounty hunter, searching for riches, and like his armor, the substrate of his armor, is one of the most valuable assets in the galactic market, right? So we say our asset will be one of those most resilient, valuable assets in crypto, and the Mandalorian Guild is a guild where loyalty is life. If you don't have loyalty to your guild, basically you don't have any purpose in the guild, in the project, and the success of the project will be a direct correlation of the loyalty that's within the project. So we wanted a figure that really represented what is to be in crypto. Battle tested, searching for riches, have loyalty to their community, and resilient, right? Most important, because cryptos, there's so many ups and downs. So, and they can withstand, FUD and all of that.
Well, I love the archetype, and I'm obviously a big fan. Not obviously, but I'm a big fan of the Mandalorian and of cyberpunk. So I just love the theme as soon as I saw it. I have Aisha who wants to ask a question, so I'm going to pass the mic to her.
Yeah, thank you, Noah. So I can see on your website that you have this Pulselorian system starting from your DeLorean to Al Wahir Supreme Leader. There are total 13 in number. Can you briefly explain? Does it represent the ranking of investors or it represents rarity level of the NFTs?
No, that's more like it's more of like a story behind,
That's more like a story behind
behind our project. It's just to show the
behind our
progression
project.
of you understanding what being a post-Lorian is about. You start off as, distrustful, you don't have faith in the project, and you don't really know how to hold your coins, up to the point where you have mastered the way of our project, the way of the community, how we interact with each other, how we show our belief in the project, how we propagate that belief uh, to other communities, to other people, how we bring people in to the point where you're fully aware of, all of the progressions that you need to go through in order to, be a post-Lorian, be with the community, and understand like the impact that we can have in the long run and on the crypto space itself. And yeah, NFTs, that will be sort of translated into NFTs. You'll see some of the terms on the NFTs, but as I said, you'll see different creeds on the NFTs. You'll see different loyalty percentages, different faith percentages, and that will dictate, that will be used for competition so that NFT holders can earn more tokens.
All right, it makes me clear now. So moving to my next question, I was thinking, what potential do you see in Pulse chain that other relatively new blockchains lack, like Avalanche, Cardano, etc.?
Oh, thank God you guys put my mic on. Oh my gosh.
Hi, Rob. Um, so again, thank you for your question. We as a community, as a project, we are believers, of Richard Hart, what he's doing in the crypto space, of Hex community and Pulse Chain community. I'm just sharing like my personal opinion, and not financial advice. As always, please don't take anything I say here. Take it with a grain of salt. But there's obviously many competing blockchains. But for me, Pulse Chain will be in 2023, one of the most hyped projects to be in, not only because it raised $2 billion, close to $2 billion, was less obviously, and which you don't see out in crypto space, projects receiving that amount of money in terms of sacrifices with no expectations of profit. And it has one of the most marketable people in crypto leading the project, leading the ecosystem. And we ourselves, we were one of the first sacrificers as soon as Pulse Chain had launched. So we are one of the first legitimate, community led tokens on the chain. And we also have the identity of the chain, right? We're named after them, Pulselorian. Obviously, Pulse Chain is our home, but we obviously want to expand to other chains because that will just increase network adoption for our guild. There will be people that will like Cardano, there will be people that like Polygon, but we're huge believers of Pulse Chain. Most importantly, because of the community itself behind it.
Okay, got it. Okay, last question for me. As you said that you will launch your token on Ethereum and then airdrop copy of these tokens on Pulse Chain, as Pulse Chain will copy all Ethereum assets. I want to understand how will Pulse Pesca tokens will have value and recognition as original tokens on Ethereum?
So we were initially gonna launch in Pulse Chain, so we had reserved some liquidity for it. We're gonna add liquidity on both chains, so tokens will have value on both chains, and it's more like a bonus, right? They first were gonna launch on Pulse Chain, and they were not gonna get any, at least initially, any other tokens on any other chains. Now we're actually launching on Ethereum, which is essentially the same, but they will also get a copy on Pulse Chain. And it will not be a copy once the chain is forked. It will be more of an airdrop because the contract, the exchanges in both chains are a little bit different. So we have to adapt the contract because Ethereum uses Uniswap v3 and Pulse Chain does not. So it'll be an airdrop, but we'll provide the liquidity and people will receive basically bonus tokens.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you so much for answering all my questions.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Aisha. Let's go with Captain Levi next.
Yeah,
Captain.
thanks, Noah. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. I wanted asking the common factor that usually guides all hyped team tokens is that I see them as birds that can fly, but they need feathers. But by feathers, I mean community support. Aside community support, they also need a long runway of time. During that time, they either turn their community members to strategic shillers or they use some kind of fun paid events. How are you using the traffic you currently have exactly from your community members to create some kind of ripple effects to bring more attention to you?
That's a good question. I think most importantly, as people they get to know the project and they'll get a first impression and they'll dive deeper, is understanding the community that we're trying to build. And the community that we're trying to build is a community that's going to be in it for the long term, because our main creed is loyalty, right? That loyalty to our guild is life. Without loyalty you don't have a purpose. So just the fact that we have a loyal guild that's in it for the long term, will bring people in. Obviously, we'll do giveaways as we're doing it right now. We're going to do competitions with the NFTs to airdrop. We'll have burn events, airdrop events, that sort of stuff to attract people. But I think the strongest of marketing really is one is the community itself, the word of mouth, people really understanding what it is to be part of the project. um, then just like shilling it through every social media channel or paying for somebody to talk about the project. Obviously that's useful, but it's not as impactful in terms of really being part of the community on like a word of mouth basis, on watching the price action. Price is the best marketing really. So once you see a price chart, once we start performing, uh, that will drive people into the project. That's the best marketing, I believe. But we do have, we will focus on every single area in terms where it's possible, in terms of doing giveaways, airdrop events, burn events, and obviously trying to do partnerships with influencers. But we want influencers who are in it for the long run, and who are in it, who understand the principle that we're behind. We don't want to. We'd rather have a close knit loyal community than a larger community where people are flaky, and not really tied down to the project.
All right. That sounds cool. That's really nice. Earlier in the AMA, you actually made mention of the fact that you raised over $200,000. But you said that some amount was given to marketing. When you said some amount was given to marketing, and to unlock $200,000 is quite a milestone. When you unlocked this amount, is it that you pushed everything to liquidity and then some to marketing, or how did you arrange it so that as many people as possible and the project itself benefits?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand your question. So, first, with regards to marketing, I think the marketing percentage that was referred here on the AMA was regards to the percentage of tokens, and obviously the percentage of tokens will have some value when it's launched. So it's not related to the sacrificed funds. And with regards to the sacrificed funds, um, it was a sacrifice, right? People were sacrificing it for a cause, for freedom of this financial system that we're in, for the belief in crypto. And per our sacrifice rules, is there should not be any expectation of the work of others. It's like that on any sacrifice. So also we cannot say like give you an exact amount, but we can say that yes, part of those funds will be used for marketing, part of those funds will be used for the development of the project, part of that fund will be used for liquidity, and and we'll do it all on the best ability that we have. Um, but I can not give like an exact amount, especially because it varies, right?
I understand. I completely understand. Okay. The next thing I wanted talking about high name tokens are the fact that they use some form of catalyst. You already made mention of influencers earlier. One popular thing about these tokens like Dogecoin and Shiba was everyone knows that somehow Elon was a catalyst for Dogecoin, and even those who did not know about crypto happen to know about crypto through Dogecoin because of Elon Musk's related activities. Now, how are you going to get these high level influencers that will act as catalysts for the Pulselorian project so that more people happen to know about it?
Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, I think the Elon Musk tweeting about Doge, it's kind of like a black swan event. Like, it's something that was, nobody asked him to do it. He just tried to go against, the norm of every single like CEO out there, business person, and decided to shill it for a laugh. So that was kind of a black swan event, in my opinion. I think like to getting somebody on that level, or somebody that's really on a high level in terms of like the business world, crypto world, we'll probably have to grow more a little bit so that people recognize our presence. Right, we're still launching. We have not launched yet. So most important factor, it will be the community. Every single member of the community matters. It's a community member that talks to a friend, a potential investor, brings them into the project, tells them about the loyalty that we're trying to build, that we're here for the long term, that we are like true believers of crypto. We're not trying to just make a quick buck and leave. We're actually trying to change the system we're in. I think that's going to be the driver, much more than having an influential figure tweet about something and we just spend thousands and thousands of dollars to get that person to say something about the project, so it could catalyze the price. That money is way better spent in in directly buying the token, if we were to do that, and pushing the price up, because nowadays there's just so many bots, and uh, you'll have AI soon. It will be hard to distinguish even who is actually, if the celebrity actually said that. Once AI and these deep fakes algorithms start like popping out, I think it will be hard to actually distinguish what's real and what's not. I think people will be asking a question: hey, am I speaking to AI or am I speaking to a human? So we're focusing on building the community on a one-to-one basis, and we always keep a very open forum, so that everybody on our Telegram, Twitter can reach out to us and have a personal conversation, and try to understand more about the project. We're happy to take a call and discuss it with you and or anybody who wants to join us and try to join us in this revolution that we're in. Right, it's what we're really in. Yep.
All right. Okay. This sounds good. Here's my final question. During the AMA, a few minutes ago, you made mention of the fact that some people mistakenly made sacrifices. When you say mistaken sacrifices, how does someone sacrifice mistakenly, and how are they compensated? How does it even come to your attention that this was a mistaken sacrifice?
Oh yeah, that people reached out to us when they saw that they were only supposed to sacrifice stable coins, and we honored basically the value of their sacrifice at the moment that they sacrificed it. That the moment that value exchange. So if they sacrificed $500 of BNB or Ethereum, when they were supposed to sacrifice $500 of USDT or USDC, we honored that just the same. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for answering my questions. I wish you guys the very best, and I hope that the Pulselorian project stays fully forward. Over to you, Noah.
Yep,
Thank you, Captain Levi. Let's see. Kryptonium, go for it, brother.
Hey, bro. A really nice show you've got here. It's really interesting listening to the gentleman before talk about the passion that we do it for. And I run esports cryptocurrency project on the XRPL algo blockchains, and it's all Web3. Web3 is all about communities, and building the community is the #1 priority. And we work maybe 12, 14 hours a day doing this. And yeah, I just really kind of want to agree with the gentleman who spoke before. Yeah, I'd like to listen a little bit more about what's going on in the group, and then maybe I'll have a little more to say later on.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to go to Venice next.
Okay, thank you so much, Noah. So while I was going through some of the documents and website, in your tokenomics section, I saw that the development fund is locked for 1 year, which could potentially limit the ability of the team to respond to changing market conditions or pivot the project in a new direction if necessary. So how would you deal with the situation if something happen, like changing market conditions or the project, or you would need to direct the project in a new direction?
Well, we have, we have the sacrificed funds that will be used to manage the project, development, liquidity, marketing, as we mentioned. So changing market conditions, obviously, if the token drops, um, what we cannot make any disclaimers, right? But we'll do our best to to make sure that the project survives in the long term, right? We're basically managing, funds to make sure we have that ability to sustain the project in the long run. But that will be also tied down to the community, right? People buying the token, believing in the project. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. We are always releasing products where we always can capture more funds. They can flow back into the project in terms of marketing, liquidity, development of new products, such as we're doing with the NFTs at this moment. So I think we're well positioned in terms of having a successful project. I don't think that's a worry right now, especially because we got lucky actually with this pulse chain delay. We avoided a huge bear market, and it seems like this year the market is gonna turn positive, and we'll launch actually on the start of a bull market, which is amazing. It's actually very lucky for us, a very good timing. So I don't foresee that as a problem. We have the capability to have a successful project.
Yeah, one thing
We're,
I can add to that is most of our team members look at their efforts and time as a sweat equity into the project, and tokens being their gratification, right? So they are up for it. They are committed to the project and are not willing to sell, right? So just a little bit additional tidbit. So if we run into any situation where we need to divert in a different direction, we have the muscle and people who are committed to drive that.
Yeah, just to compliment on that, we actually just have had that situation, right? Pulse, we were initially gonna launch in Pulse Chain, and we had to divert it, and it seems like we'll launch it on Ethereum. So we made the effort to make sure we adapt the contracts, have enough liquidity for Ethereum and for Pulse Chain. So we actually experienced that, and it shows that the team is prepared for such scenario.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you
yeah.
so much for answering my question. Yeah, that's it.
Can I just add something to this? Also, there is a massive market change happening in 2023. The release of Chat GPT-3 coming up to Chat GPT-4 with the gentleman speaking before, Pulselorian. Basically, was talking about AI, and yeah, it's a game changer. People can do 10 people's work in a day now, and if you're working 14 hours a day and you're doing 10 people's work, so you can imagine what can happen. And yeah, I would really advise anyone who's running a project or is part of a project would like to get involved, check out futurepedia.ia, futurepedia.com, and it's a tool kit place where all the applications for artificial intelligence are available for people to kind of check out. So it's called futurepedia.com, and it's like the encyclopedia of AI tools. So you can check that out. It'll help in your work.
Man, thank you for those suggestions. And we have one last audience question from Mr. Rahmat, and then we will wrap things up.
Yeah, thank you, Noah. Okay, so I've read on your website that aside from collectible speculative value, NFT holders can claim their avatars. So I was wondering, do helmets NFT holder can have to claim the various parts of the body suits to get the complete avatar, and will combining all the body parts going to generate a single NFT? How will that going to work?
No, for now we're just going to launch helmets. We could always in the future release more products, release an armor, a weapon. But right now it's just the helmets, and the helmets is kind of like to represent that you're a loyal community member. You can always post your NFT on Twitter, and then people will immediately recognize, okay, they're part of the Pulselorian guild. And not only that, it's also because of the financial incentive of holding an NFT. You'll earn, light BSKR airdrops. And with regards to the sets, right now, if we're thinking in terms of sets, but we'll post out, detailed specified rules after the NFT launch. It will be the formation of different creeds within the NFTs. They have different creeds. They have different loyalty percentages. They have different helmet types. We can play around with that. But in terms of other pieces of armor, that would be for the future. If we see that there's interest for that, we'll surely develop it. But for now, it's just the helmets.
Okay, okay, understood. Okay, I've read a statement on your white paper that crypto is a high risk and there should be no expectation of the profits from the work of others, and the sacrifice is freedom of the evil fiat galactic empire. I understand that crypto is a high risk, but people invest in the crypto projects with the expectation of earning profits, and that's the reality. And if they want to sacrifice their funds, people can donate to the charities. So I want to understand the logic behind your this statement on your white paper, which is also in line with the pulse chain, because investors are type of donating, giving their funds in order to enable the developers and the team to work. So they are obviously expecting profits.
So yeah, this is a disclaimer, right? So that any potential individual that wants to join our project is aware of. And as a project, we cannot make any sort of guarantees whatsoever, and that needs to be very clear, right? um, so and the sacrifice is so that people knowing that when they're sacrificing it for a cause. um, and then the use of the funds, it's it's not really up to discussion, just from like a legal standpoint. We don't want to make any sort of assertions, guarantees in terms of profit. We unfortunately we cannot do that, and we should not do that. It's We just want to bring awareness in terms of um, the education that people need to have in terms of being in the crypto space. Responsibility for your own funds, for doing a due diligence on who's the team, who is the team behind the project, um, what is the long-term sustainability of the project, is the code public, which ours is the team doxed, that sort of thing. We just want to make people aware of what it is to be in crypto and not to fall into scams. People have to take responsibility of their funds. And Ramord, feel free to compliment if I missed anything.
Yeah, I'll just add one more quick, like all you have already covered, Fajari. But the thing is, who makes most gains? And this is by I just want to give a disclaimer. I'm not giving any financial advisor. I'm not qualified financial advisor. But in crypto markets, who makes the most gains? It is those people who buy crypto and hold. It is those people who get into a project early on. The sacrifice model actually leverages that. If you sacrifice for a project, you will get valueless free tokens, which may have value in future, but they are the people who are going to gain the most because they are the earliest entrants. They're getting the best rate. Yeah, that's all
Understood.
from my side.
Yeah, got it. Understood. Thank you so much. Over to you, Noah.
Well, thank you, audience members, for those questions. Pulselorian team, thank you guys so much for coming on. As Ramert said, there's no financial advice here. Obviously, do your due diligence, guys. It looks like a very fun game theory integrated ecosystem, and it sounds like there's a passionate team behind it. So, gentlemen, if you want to give us some closing thoughts before you head off, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, first of all, we want to express gratitude for hosting the space. It was the questions posed here were all like very very good questions, and glad to see a lot of like new faces interested in the project. And we want to make sure that you can always reach out to us on Telegram and or Twitter. And our on our Twitter page has our link tree with all our links to all of our websites and social media channels. And yeah, we wanna know you guys one on one, so you really understand what it is to be part of the Pulselorian Guild and what it is to be part of a project that has loyalty at its core.
Right
Yeah,
on.
I just want to say thank you, right? I just want to say thank you. And, as we say in our team, within our team, this is the way and loyalty is life, right? So with that, we can end this, I guess.
Yeah, gentlemen, beautifully put. And that's going to be all for today. Whale Coin Talk community. Remember, everything you hear on this broadcast is for educational purposes only. Always do your own research and be safe out there. For now, my name is Noah, signing out. Take care.